9 parts in. The comments section is still finding trailers that have never been covered, and this part is different from every part that came before it. Every trailer in parts 1 through 8 followed the same basic logic. A tractor, a trailer, freight on the trailer. The tractor moves the trailer moves the freight. The trailers in this part break that logic in different ways. One of them is not a trailer at all. The machine is the trailer. One of them travels to a site and never moves again until the job is done. One of them has been called by the wrong name in the series, and a commenter who works with them every day corrected it. One of them exists because certain living cargo requires engineering that the livestock trailer in part 1 never addressed. The comment section built this part the same way it has built every part. Let's get into it. The pin load. Everything in this series has followed the same mechanical relationship. A tractor with a fifth wheel. A trailer with a kingpin. The kingpin couples to the fifth wheel, and the trailer becomes a road-legal unit behind the tractor. The trailer and the freight are two separate things. The trailer carries the freight. The pin load eliminates that separation entirely. A pin load is a piece of machinery or equipment that has a kingpin, axles, lights, and brakes built directly into its own frame. It is not cargo that rides on a trailer. It is cargo that has become the trailer. It couples directly to the tractor's fifth wheel with no separate trailer unit between them. The machine is the trailer. The trailer is the machine. They are the same object. A commenter who hauls gravel crushing operation components described this exactly and listed every unit in a full crushing operation that moves this way. The feed bin, the jaw crusher, the screen deck, the cone crusher, the power van, super stackers, stackable conveyors, and individual conveyors. Every one of these units has the required number of axles to carry its own weight legally on public roads. A jaw crusher large enough to require a triple axle with 8 wheels on each axle, 24 wheels total, may also need a Jeep dolly at the front and a booster axle at the rear to distribute the weight legally across the combination. The engineering logic behind pin loads is straightforward. A gravel crushing operation moves between sites. Every component of that operation has to travel on public roads to reach the next site. Building each component onto a dedicated trailer would require a separate trailer for every piece of equipment. A trailer that sits idle whenever the equipment is working at a site, that adds dead weight to every road move, and that requires its own licensing, registration, and maintenance. Building the axles, kingpin, lights, and brakes directly into the equipment eliminates the trailer entirely. The equipment is always its own transport platform. Added, integrated kingpin plate. The kingpin is welded directly into the equipment's main structural frame at the engineered coupling point. The plate surrounding it is built to the same standards as a standard trailer kingpin plate, capable of withstanding the coupling forces, the towing forces, and the emergency braking forces that any trailer kingpin experiences on a public road. Added, road-legal axle configuration. The axles are mounted to the equipment frame at positions calculated to distribute the equipment's weight across the legal per-axle limits for public road operation. A unit that is too heavy for a single axle gets a tandem. A unit too heavy for a tandem gets a tridem. The axle configuration is engineered to the specific weight of the specific machine. Added, lighting and braking systems. Full DOT or ADR compliant lighting, running lights, brake lights, turn signals, reflectors, is wired into the equipment frame. The brake system connects to the tractor's air brake circuit through standard Glad hand connections the same way any trailer brake system connects. A fully mobile gravel crushing operation, feed bin, jaw, screen deck, cone, conveyors, and power van can relocate from one quarry site to another entirely under its own road-legal configuration. Every unit drives to the new site behind its own tractor. The operation that was crushing gravel in one location last week is crushing gravel in a different location this week without a single crane lift or a single dedicated trailer involved in the move. The frack tank trailer. Every tanker covered in this series moves liquid from an origin to a destination and then leaves. The frack tank trailer is the exception. It moves liquid storage to a site, and the storage stays there for the duration of the operation. Days, weeks, or months, while the trailer leaves and comes back to collect it when the job is done. A frack tank is a large rectangular steel liquid storage tank, typically holding between 500 and 21,000 barrels, 79,500 to 3,340,000 liters, 21,000 to 882,000 gallons, built on a skid frame with its own legs that allow it to stand independently on any flat surface once it has been delivered. The name comes from hydraulic fracturing operations in oil and gas production, where enormous volumes of water, chemical additives, and recovered fluid need to be stored on site during the fracking process. But frack tanks appear in any industrial operation requiring temporary bulk liquid storage. Environmental remediation sites storing contaminated water, industrial construction projects storing process water, emergency response operations storing fuel, or water where permanent infrastructure does not exist. The trailer that delivers a frack tank is a specialized lowboy or tilt deck configuration. The tank is too heavy and too large to load onto a standard flatbed and requires either a lowered deck for clearance or a tilting deck to allow the tank to slide or roll into position. Added, extendable rear support arms. Because frack tanks are wider than a standard trailer, typically 2.4 to 3 meters, 8 to 10 feet, the delivery trailer carries extendable rear support arms that hold the tank laterally during transport and retract to allow the tank to be positioned on site. Added, hydraulic leveling legs on the tank itself. The frack tank's own legs are hydraulically adjustable to level the tank on uneven ground at the delivery site. A liquid storage tank that is not level accumulates all its liquid at the low end, reducing effective capacity and creating uneven stress on the tank walls. The hydraulic legs bring the tank to level regardless of the site surface condition. The delivery operation for a frack tank is the reverse of most trailer operations. Most trailers arrive at a site, unload their contents, and leave empty. A frack tank trailer arrives at a site, leaves its entire cargo, the tank itself, behind, and departs without it. The tank becomes site infrastructure. The trailer comes back weeks later to collect it when the operation is complete. The narrow beam trailer, correctly named this time. In Part 3, this series covered the beam trailer, the configuration where a long structural member such as a steel beam or concrete girder becomes the structural connection between a front saddle unit and a rear wheel set, with the beams spanning open air between them and the cargo becoming the trailer. A commenter who works with these trailers every day pointed out immediately and correctly that two completely different trailers share the beam trailer name, and the series covered one without acknowledging the other exists. The narrow beam trailer, also called an I-beam trailer, a belly trailer, or a float in different regions, is not a long beam suspension system. It is a narrow I-beam frame trailer designed specifically to carry wheeled or tracked vehicles by allowing their wheels or tracks to hang down between the frame rails rather than sitting on top of a solid deck. The frame is narrow, typically 600 to 900 millimeters, 24 to 35 inches, between the inner faces of the two main I-beam rails. That narrow gap is not a limitation, it is the entire design intent. A tracked excavator placed on this trailer sits with its undercarriage spanning the gap between the two rails. The tracks hang down on either side of the rails. The belly of the machine, the lowest structural point of its chassis, rests on the rails. Because the tracks are hanging rather than sitting on a deck surface, the machine rides significantly lower than it would on any solid deck trailer. The deck thickness is essentially zero because there is no deck, only two rails. The practical height reduction compared to a standard lowboy deck is between 200 and 400 millimeters, 8 to 16 inches, depending on the specific machine and its undercarriage geometry. On a legal height limit of 4 meters, 13 feet 2 inches, in Europe or 4.11 meters, 13 feet 6 inches, in the US, 300 millimeters, 12 inches. Of additional height clearance is the difference between a standard road permit and an oversized permit with escort vehicles, advanced route survey, and utility companies raising power lines along the entire route. Added, adjustable rail width on some configurations. Some narrow beam trailers carry rail width adjustment. The two main frame rails slide laterally to accommodate machines with different undercarriage widths. A trailer set to carry a compact excavator can be adjusted to carry a larger machine with a wider undercarriage without requiring a different trailer. Added, removable deck boards. Many narrow beam trailers carry removable hardwood or composite deck boards that span the gap between the rails and convert the narrow frame into a solid deck surface for loads that do not benefit from the hanging wheel configuration. The same trailer that carries a tracked excavator on its rails on Monday carries a flat cargo load on a solid deck surface on Tuesday. The narrow beam trailer and the long beam suspension system covered in Part 3 share a name because both involve beams and both carry unusual loads. Everything else about them is different. The commenter who pointed this out was right to do so, and the distinction is important enough that both needed their own proper explanation. The boat hauler. Recreational boats, base boats, pontoon boats, ocean-going sport fishing vessels, large sailing yachts, exist in a size range that spans from small enough to tow behind a pickup truck on a standard boat trailer to large enough to require a semi-tractor combination with a specialized trailer and an oversized permit. The boat hauler at the semi-truck scale is a purpose-built trailer configuration that addresses the specific dimensional and structural challenges of a large recreational vessel. A shape that is wide at the beam, deep at the hull, and built from materials that cannot tolerate point loads from standard cargo securement hardware. The width challenge is immediate. A large pontoon boat or sport fishing vessel can be 3 to 4 meters, 10 to 13 feet, wide at its widest point, wider than the legal standard trailer width of 2.59 meters, 102 inches. Any vessel wider than the trailer requires an oversized permit, and in many jurisdictions, escort vehicles both front and rear. The depth challenge follows from the hull form. A deep V hull on an ocean-going sport fishing vessel extends 1 to 1.5 meters, 3 to 5 feet, below the waterline. Supported at the wrong points, that hull will deform under its own weight during transport. The trailer has to support the hull at the points the manufacturer specifies, typically the keel line and the chine, with padding that distributes the load across a wide contact area rather than concentrating it at a narrow point. Added, adjustable hull support cradles. The trailer carries adjustable cradle supports, padded steel or composite frames that conform to the specific hull shape of the vessel being transported. The cradle positions adjust laterally and vertically to match the hull geometry and are locked in position before departure. A cradle set incorrectly can deform a fiberglass hull during a long transport run through vibration and sustained point loading. Added keel roller system. Many boat hauler trailers carry a central keel roller, a padded rolling support running along the center line of the trailer that allows the boat to be loaded by rolling it forward from the rear, rather than lifting it vertically onto the trailer. The keel roller distributes the loading force along the keel rather than concentrating it at a single lift point. Added bow support and stern support. The bow and stern of a large vessel extend well beyond the trailer frame in many configurations. Adjustable bow and stern support arms extend from the trailer frame to support these overhanging sections and prevent them from moving vertically during transport. A large sport fishing vessel ready for transport, hull, engines, electronics, fuel, can weigh between 8 and 20 tons, 17,600 to 44,000 pounds, roughly the weight of 1 to 3 adult African elephants at approximately 6,000 kilograms, 13,000 pounds, each, or 5 to 13 average European family cars at approximately 1,500 kilograms, 3,300 pounds, each. The horse van. The livestock trailer covered in Part 1 carries cattle, hogs, and sheep, animals that travel in groups, that can be loaded through rear gates in batches, and whose value per animal, while significant, is measured in hundreds to low thousands of dollars per head. The horse van carries animals that travel individually, that cannot be loaded through standard livestock rear gates without risk of injury, and whose value per animal ranges from tens of thousands to millions of dollars for elite competition horses. The engineering difference between a livestock trailer and a horse van reflects the difference in what is at stake if the transport goes wrong. A standard livestock trailer is designed for throughput, loading and unloading batches of animals efficiently. A horse van is designed for the individual animal's experience during transport. Stress in horses during transport, caused by noise, vibration, temperature variation, unfamiliar smells, or the inability to balance naturally, has documented physiological consequences, including elevated cortisol levels, compromised immune function, and in severe cases, transit myopathy, a muscle condition caused by sustained postural stress that can permanently affect a performance animal's competitive career. Added individual stall configuration. Each horse travels in its own stall, a padded enclosure sized to allow the horse to stand naturally and shift its weight for balance during cornering and braking without being able to turn around or contact adjacent horses. Standard stall dimensions run 700 to 800 millimeters, 28 to 31 inches, wide and 2.4 to 2.7 meters, 94 to 106 inches, long per horse. Added rubber floor matting over drainage system. The floor of a horse van is covered in thick rubber matting, typically 25 to 38 millimeters, 1 to 1.5 inches thick, over a slotted drainage floor. The matting provides cushioning for the horse's legs during the sustained standing that transport requires and reduces vibration transmission from the road surface. Hard flooring during long transport runs causes leg fatigue that affects performance for days after arrival. Added forced ventilation system. Horses are obligate nasal breathers. They cannot breathe through their mouths. Ammonia buildup from urine in an enclosed trailer space is directly harmful to equine respiratory function. The forced ventilation system maintains continuous fresh air exchange through the horse compartment regardless of vehicle speed. At highway speed, the airflow is sufficient, but at low speeds in traffic or during loading and unloading, active ventilation prevents ammonia accumulation. Added climate control on premium configurations. Elite competition horse vans carry full climate control, maintaining the horse compartment at a consistent temperature and humidity, regardless of outside conditions. A horse that arrives at a competition having experienced temperature extremes during transport is not at peak physiological condition. The climate system eliminates that variable. Added living quarters for grooms. Most professional horse vans carry a separate living compartment for the groom or handler who travels with the horses. The living quarters are separated from the horse compartment by a bulkhead but include an interior access door so the groom can check on the horses during rest stops without exiting the vehicle. Equipment storage for tack, feed, and veterinary supplies is integrated into the transition space between the living quarters and the horse compartment. A standard professional horse van carries 2 to 6 horses, depending on configuration. The living quarters and equipment storage, reducing the available horse compartment length compared to a pure livestock configuration. The total combination weight of a fully loaded 6-horse van with groom quarters, tack, feed, and equipment runs between 18 and 24 tons, 39,700 to 52,900 pounds. Roughly the weight of 3 to 4 adult African elephants at approximately 6,000 kilograms, 13,000 pounds each, or 12 to 16 average European family cars at approximately 1,500 kilograms, 3,300 pounds, each. The frack tank trailer, heavy haul and rigging connection. A commenter subscribed to this channel specifically hoping to see a video about heavy haul and rigging. He mentioned Intermountain heavy haul and rigging as an example of what he was describing. That video is coming as its own dedicated production separate from the trailer series. But the connection between the trailer series and heavy haul deserves its own moment here, because heavy haul is not a trailer type. It is a discipline that uses multiple trailer types, many of which have already appeared in this series, in coordinated combinations for moves that no single trailer type can accomplish alone. A heavy haul rigging move might use a removable gooseneck trailer for the primary load, a Jeep dolly at the front to add axle groups for weight distribution, a booster axle at the rear for the same reason, an SPMT system for the yard positioning at origin and destination, and a beam trailer for an associated structural component that travels as part of the same move. Every one of those trailer types has been covered in this series. What has not been covered is how they are combined, sequenced, and coordinated for a single engineered move. That is the heavy haul video. It is not a trailer explanation. It is a move explanation. The trailers are already known. The engineering of the combination is what the video covers. The comment section asked for it. It is being built. 9 parts. More than 65 trailers. And the series keeps finding new edges. The pin load where the machine is the trailer, and the trailer is the machine. A gravel crushing operation that moves itself down the road on its own axles without a single dedicated trailer in the convoy. The frack tank that travels to a site and stays there while the trailer leaves. Liquid storage that becomes site infrastructure for the duration of the job. The narrow beam trailer that was covered under the wrong name in part 3, and that a commenter who works with them every day corrected immediately and correctly. The boat hauler built around a hull form that cannot tolerate point loads, and an animal that cannot tolerate stress. The horse van where the engineering is built around the physiological experience of a single animal worth more than most houses. And a promise to the commenter who subscribed, specifically hoping to see a heavy haul and rigging video. That video is coming. It is not a trailer part. It is its own thing. Because the moves that require the trailers covered in this series working together as a coordinated system deserve more than a section at the end of a part. The comment section built 9 parts of this series. It is still building. Tell me below what is still missing.